Hello shape enthusiasts, and welcome back to another episode of Shapes 2. Last episode we figured out the last milestone on our insane run. This shape looks simple, but the crystal overhang onto nothing was a little bit tricky. You can see the factory behind me that we required to create that shape ultimately from the various quarters that it's made up of. But that shape is now in delivery. There's 150,000 of it to deliver, so we're going to work on some other stuff. Once that shape is done, we'll have finished our final qualification, and in the meantime we're going to work on these tasks. We are up to task number 16 out of a total of 33 tasks, so I think we're around the halfway mark. But to do tasks effectively, we need effective staging areas. Now, you'll notice I have deleted everything on my map, including my old milestone factories, as well as my old staging areas. And the reason for that is because I want to bring my staging areas a little bit closer to base if possible. So I'm going to figure out where I'm going to put my staging area. We're going to start with one maybe up north. Using the lovely shape filter, we can try to find the rarest shape. Now, this one is right there up north, but that's like super far away. It's at an F square, which is like 6 squares away from base. We're going to find something a little bit closer. Maybe we will start with this one here, because this one's only like 2, whatever you call these, blocks away from base. So maybe we can bring that in somewhere. I'll figure out where in a second. Let's just plop down some of our miners over here. I'm just going to use 4 miners over here for now, and then we'll just bring them all together. Then we'll figure out where the rest of our shapes are, and then we can figure out where we want our staging area. Now, I see squares and circle pretty nearby, but let's have a look for stars. Yeah, the closest star to this is on the other side, unfortunately, of my main train track, but that's fine. I don't expect to extend my train track past here, so we could probably even put our first staging area just at the end of this like main track, right? Because I don't expect I'm going to go all the way out this far, because it's a little bit far from base and the trains are a little slow still. So let's just mark out this area with some stuff. Something like that. And now, given there's our emeralds and there's our stars, where should we pick up our squares and circles from? I think still this square is probably the closest. Oh no, there's one here. Yeah, I guess that's kind of close. Let's pick up this one then. If you're enjoying the video and you want to support Data Engineer Plays, don't forget to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. And if you have any feedback or suggestions, feel free to share them in the comment section. And finally, we can find our closest circle, which don't tell me it's that one. Let's just filter for it, because I'm a little bit blind. Yeah, probably this one, but it's colored. Just in case we need uncolored bits of the shape, we don't really want to use the colored one. So I reckon probably this circle up here is the closest. Unfortunately, that makes our shapes not that close together. But we'll take this one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's our shapes, but we need our colors, and we're going to need quite a lot of colors for these maybe later shapes. So given our 4 bits and bobs are over here, we can just take the closest colors over here. I'm sure each asteroid fits at least 3. We would love to have 6 belts of color for each color, and then we should be able to work that with most of our shapes. Tentatively say most of our shapes. Some shapes may need more, which will just slow down the production because our staging areas will just be built to that spec. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. This one only fits... yeah, I can fit 3, kind of. Maybe. Definitely can fit in there. I might just have to, like, separate the bits and bobs. Something like this. Theoretically, that should be still okay. So there's our red. Our green, we've got 2 greens right here, so we might be able to fit that here. This one looks a little bit small. but I think we just fit that in. And now we just need to find 2 patches of blue somewhere. There's one there, one there. It looks a little bit far away. Is there kind of 2 patches that are a little bit closer? Or like just one massive patch that I can somehow fit 6 in? This patch looks massive, but I don't know if I can fit 6 here. 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's a little bit tight. Let's see if we can puzzle this out. Yeah, we might have to just live with 5 patches of blue. Otherwise, we can just take this one as well, I suppose. But that's fine. 5 blue should be enough for now. But yes, here are all our bits and bobs. Where is our staging area going to go? I suppose it can just go right in the center here. We can use this area to create stuff, and then we'll move on from there. In fact, maybe we can get our 6 belted blue from here. We'll see. I'd like to just bring everything by belt, because why bother with trains? Like, they seem a little bit unreliable. So let's just bring everything in by belt. I mean, we have all the points for it. I don't think we're going to run out of platform limit. I just bring everything roughly close by to one another so that we can kind of figure out where we want to put everything. Circles, I mean, are a little bit far, but once they've traveled this initial distance, we should be all sweet. So there's our 4 belts of shapes, and usually I want my 4 belts of colors behind the shapes. So I'd probably want something like this for the red, and bring the other red into that one. Something like that. Oh, that's a little bit not good. Bring it in like this. I mean, we're using our platform units, but you can barely see it even move, and then I don't have to worry about train throughput or capacity, which will be fantastic. Bring in our green. And then we can bring in our blue. Let's mix that all together into one. Something like this. And we can do a little bit of a hop and bring the blue around the back this way. Now, is this an adequate space to work is my question. There's like a little blue asteroid in the way. I want to create like sort of a space to work. I'm thinking probably where the colors are would be great, right? Like, I think that's enough space to work right here. So instead, let me redo this and get them all up there. So we've already got that here. We can bring the red, say, this way. Something like that. And then we can start bringing our shape belts this way. There's 2 of our shapes. There's a 3rd. And there's a 4th. I think this is a big enough area to work in. What do you guys think? And if we just bring our color belt. Oh, this is a little bit awkward. We'll bring it over. Up. And over. And down. We can kind of bring it along there. This should be enough space starting from around here. And this will be our new staging 1. So I'm going to put a marker here. And there's our staging 1 all ready to go. It's going to take probably a few minutes for these shapes to load up, but there's no reason why we can't start working on our very first shape. Now move my marker a little bit out of the way. Move here, yeah, just above there so it's not in the way. So let's start pinning some tasks and getting to work. All right, our first one looks pretty simple, and it gets extremely complex. So let's get this shape going first. Underneath is just a half blue star, then on top is a half square and a half circle and then a white circle. All right, cool. So let's get that going. So our star's this bottom one, so we're gonna bring a star in and then cut it in half. I'm gonna try to keep in mind what the actual next bits of the task are, just to make it a little bit more efficient for myself. Looks like that half star sort of stays as a half star and turns into a quarter star in a bit. So we might do... Oh, that's a bit annoying, eh? Nope, you know what? It's too complicated to try to do these shapes. We'll just delete our factory and restart it whenever it becomes too complicated to work with. Instead, what we'll do is the simplest thing that we can do, which is just a half destroyer. So we bring a half destroyer here, bring a belt of stars into the half destroyer, followed by a painter. We can make our very first layer, which is our blue stars. There we go. First layer is done. Our next layer is a half square, half circle. So if we get two half destroyers, we might want to keep the other half of the circle. So let's do that. We'll do the square first. So for now, we'll just grab a half destroyer, give it a little bit of space in between. We'll do the painting last because this entire layer is blue. So we'll just grab our squares to start with. That'll give us our half square. Then we also need our half circle, but because the top layer is also a circle, instead of doing a half destroyer, what we'll do is we'll do a cutting 1 to 2. Bring our circles. They're still traveling over. Let's make sure there's no issues with that. They're just taking their sweet time, right? Yep, they're coming from all the way up there, so they're going to take a while to arrive. But once they arrive, we should have no issues. So we've got our half circle, our half square. We need to merge them together. Oh, we've got a shape preview. The circle's on the left, the square is on the right, which is perfect. So we should be able to just stack these two together to create our layer. So if we get our stacker like that, we should be able to do something like this. That should get us our half square circle, which then needs to be just painted blue. Grab our blue paint and pop that up there. Excellent. That's our second layer done. Our third layer is just a white circle. So all we need to do is grab ourselves a painter and then we just need to mix ourselves white. So I'm going to do my color mixing up here. I think that's going to be the good tactic to keep everything nice and clean. So to make white, we just need a color mixer followed by another color mixer. And then we just need to plug in any sort of combination. Oop, not like that. We can plug in the pipes with any sort of combination of red, blue, and green, which will make us our lovely white color. It'll be 2 belts of white. I'm sure we'll need it later. So I'm just going to bring both belts over and down. It's a little bit misaligned because I want to bring it there, but that's fine. We'll just bring it around a bit. And then we'll go down. And then we'll just turn it here, and then pop it back up to try to get it out of the way of whatever next layer I might be making. And that should make us white paint. That should get us our white circle. Now we just got to make sure everything is flipped in the right orientation before we proceed. So we'll just make it in the orientation of what the shape shows. So for this one, we would need a counterclockwise. No, that is a clockwise rotation. So let's get ourselves our clockwise rotator. This shape is going to be, I can't tell. I think the square is going to be on the right and the circle is going to be on the left. So it's also a clockwise rotation. And finally, this thing, the shape is on the left. So it's also going to be a clockwise rotation. Funny how that all works out. I actually didn't need to rotate any of them. They would have just perfectly made sense as they were, but that's fine. Let's get our stacker in. Something like this. That layer goes on top, that layer goes on the bottom. Get another stacker in. That layer goes on top, that layer goes on the bottom. And this is our final shape output, which I will bring over here into a train station. We'll have to make a new one. Get ourselves a shape loading station. We'll get it pointing downwards because I think that's where the rail is. We'll get a single stop in and we're going to use our lovely new wait stops. I again apologize to the people in the comments section that have been telling me to use wait stops, but yeah, wait stops are great. And then we'll get our locomotive in here and we'll just get one singular wagon for shapes and that should get our train going. So we'll definitely need a rail to connect to the main cardinal rail, and because we have vortex launching, that'll just go away and load the shape, and it should be all good. That wait stop did nothing because there's not a single shape loaded in there, I assume. But that's fine. This will sort itself out eventually, and I don't have to deal with any of our trains, so I like this staging area much better. Now, we can make a very similar staging area sort of on the other side. We can reuse the emeralds over here, and maybe like the circles, and do something on this side maybe. I don't know. A lot of crisscrossies are going to be happening if I do that there. Is there another emeralds that's sort of like close? Sorry, I keep saying emerald. Is there another wedge shape that's reasonably close by that I can use? There's literally nothing north side, which is a little bit annoying. There's this wedge shape, and if I do that, that's like reasonably close, I guess. We can route it around the top. It's a little bit far, as is this one. But I guess if we bring them in closer, I like this staging area. So we can do another staging area, say over here. Is there a stars around here? There's a stars around here, and then there's a wedge around here, and then we've got a circle here, and squares might be a little bit far. The square's probably down here, but that's kind of fine. We can do our staging area in the middle, and then hopefully we can find there's 2 blues, there's 2 greens, there's 2 reds, something like that. All right, let me set that up while we're waiting for this task to complete. Go back to staging 1 just to make sure we are producing that shape before I start doing stuff. Yeah, that definitely looks correct. All right, let's start picking up these shapes. So we'll grab our miners to start with. Grab our stars from here. No, it's a little bit close to my milestone factory, but that's okay. Now, so I was going to grab my squares from here. And finally, where are we going to get circles from? There's the stars, there's the emeralds, there's a circle right here. Now we've got our 4 shapes. Let's figure out where we can get our 4 colors from. Let's just find somewhere in amidst these shapes. So we'll put some fluid launchers over here. Fluid miners, sorry. There's 1 set. Hopefully we can just fit 3 like that there. And there's our blue done. Our red, can we fit here? No, I don't think so. Green, where are we going to get green from? So here, I think these 2 greens should be okay. There's our greens, and finally our reds. So we've got some red over here and here. I think these 2 should be fine. So grab some from here. And then we'll grab some from over here. Easy. That's all of our colors and our shapes. Now we just need to put them together into the staging area. So given these 2 are the sort of furthest, why don't we bring in our staging area? I don't know, where's a good space to work? This all looks really packed. I'm thinking like underneath here, starting from here. So something like this. I think working back this way will be okay. That will be like our first shape. Now everything else is going to travel for a little bit, but it's fine. Again, we don't need the platform units, so we can just run really long belts instead of trains, because I don't trust the train system. That's an okay belt, it's not too long. There's stars right here. Am I blind? Does that change anything for me though, if I use these stars? Oh, the squares are here and the circles are here. I don't really think it changes much, but it's fine. I see there's a star literally right there, but that's fine. I already drew the belt for the star. People are gonna yell at me if I don't fix this. Yeah, I'll move the stars over here. We can get rid of this one. There you go. The stars are right next door now. Alright, I want my colors behind here. So what's the easiest color to grab? That's blue. Oh, our staging 1 is done. So let's unlock that and start getting this next shape going. So we just need to replace the blue with yellow. So back to staging 1 we go. We're going to need another belt of color. I mean, whatever's producing this white, it's not enough to make yellow. I mean, I can get 1 belt of yellow out, but I need 2 belts of yellow anyway. So I'm going to just make my 2 belts of yellow here. I might make it back here because this is where the 2 belts of blue that need to become yellow are. So here I would mix red and green to make yellow. And now we can very simply just replace this bit that used to be blue with yellow. And similarly replace this bit that used to be blue with yellow. Nice. And that should start turning that yellow, which will get us this shape. Back to staging 2. So we've got 2 belts of our shape. We were trying to get our blue color back here somewhere. Something like that. Let's get our other 2 shapes in first. So our circles are here. So we'll bring them this away. Let's give it a little anchor so it's easier to work with. There's our 3rd thing. And then our final shape is a square, which is back here. We can bring the square in from behind. And then we'll just bring it along here. And then we'll just bring it in here. There's our 4 belts of shapes, and we can see that even though I'm running super long belts, again, our platform limit is pretty much infinite at this point, so we don't really care. What we do care about is connecting our actual thing. Alright, so there's all our shapes done. Let's get our colors in. So I'm going to bring this in first. So many bends. There's our blue. Now our red is back here somewhere. Why did I do 3 reds here? I'm very confused why I picked my red asteroid here. But we're just going to run with it. There's 3 reds. Ah, because my other red asteroids are over here. That's fine. So we'll get them to merge at some point, but we'll just bring this red asteroid this way. And then we'll bring this one over here, and that can just go straight up and mix with this. Now we have our red belt. And finally, we just need our green belt, which I've taken from somewhere completely cooked, haven't I? I've taken it from up here. Ah, that's fine. We'll just go from up here. Mix all our belts. There's our 6 belts of green. Make sure that's all done properly. And now we should be able to bring that over to our staging area very cleanly. There's no spaghetti over here. We'll ignore every part you just saw except for this part over here. So yes, nice. We've got all our belts. Let's just cut these belts so people with OCD don't complain. And then we will call this area staging 2. There we go. Now we have our second staging area. We can start working with those shapes. Let's just go back to staging 1 and make sure our color mixing is all correct and we're not doing anything too silly. This is delivering shapes at maximum speed, right? I feel like I didn't have enough trains pulling these shapes off. That's why it's kind of jammed, maybe? Why have I not started producing a single yellow shape? That took ages and the yellow's still up to here to clear everything out. What I actually think we might need is a second train, which is a good time to change it now because I don't actually need any of the shapes on the station. So we'll go bring a train over here, and we might need a second one, even at this distance. That way it can flush out the belt, clear out everything for the yellow, and eventually that will start going. I know I can probably get this done a little bit faster if I just flushed everything. If I click this and I just, I don't know. I'm sure if I flush this, I'm not even sure what will be faster, letting the blue just drain or just flushing it for yellow. It doesn't matter. Speed is not our thing right now because we're still busy setting up all our staging areas. We're just chilling and waiting for some shapes to flow through. But we can theoretically make this shape, right? We know where all the belts are. So let's pick our next task and start doing it. This one seems pretty easy. It looks like it's just a really weird mishmash of colors eventually. We might have to reset the shape at some point, but the starting point seems pretty easy. It's just a square circle thing. They're all quarters. I don't have an asymmetrical 1 to 2 cutter. That's the thing. Like, I can't make this square circle shape and then cut it. I really have to just piece it together from quarters. Is that really what I have to do? It doesn't really matter because the shape almost immediately changes after that, and then we never have to care about it again. So I might just piece it together from quarters, whatever. We've got plenty of shapes to deal with it. Sometimes it's easier just to do it the dumb way. So if we get a quarter destroyer, we'll get 2 quarter destroyers, 1 for squares, 1 for circles. There's the squares, and I think our circles come from this belt over here. If we trace that, it's the closest one is the circles. So if we do that, we get our quarter square and our quarter circle. Now we need to rotate one of these, because everything I quarter destroy goes into the bottom left, and that's okay for the circle, but we want the square on the top right, so we will give the square a counterclockwise rotation. With these two together, we should be able to just stack it. Something like that. That should get us our shape, and we need 2 of these shapes, so I'm just going to copy this entire thing, and we'll give it a little bit of space. And we'll do a second one of these shapes. Here come the circles, and there are the squares. So that should get us 2 of those shapes. One of these shapes needs to be painted white, which will be this one. We need to make white, so we'll get our color mixer. I'm going to do a little bit to the left this time, and then another color mixer. We will grab our colors. And then we'll bring that over, down. Oh, that's not the right area. It's like along here. We'll go down here. Pop that up at the painter. And that should get us our white shape. That should get us our uncolored shape. And we should just be able to stack that on top of each other with our little bent stacker blueprint. And that should be our final shape. If we go to staging 1, we should be able to steal the train station now. Go back to staging 2. Pop that somewhere. Just checking where my main rail is. It's above me. So I want my station accepting stuff from this direction, but then pointing upwards. So we'll do it somewhere around, say, here. Like that. Bring that in. Oop, missed. Bring that in, bring the rail in, and where's my center point? It's over here. Bring my rail into there, and that should be our staging 2, all ready to go with 2 trains. Let's see how staging 1's faring along with these trains. Is it a train capacity issue, or is it like a belt throttling issue? I think the belt is still going along at sort of maximum speed. That's just how long it takes to switch this color of belt, I guess. Thought it would switch quicker, but I guess not. I don't think the fact that the train is loading is impacting it. I haven't seen this belt ever stop. Let's see where our first train is, and also that will help us measure whether we need more trains or not. but it looks like our first train is about to deliver the load before our second train has finished loading up, and that therefore 2 trains is more than enough for a continuous stream of this thing going. So that should be all good. But we can carry on with building our third staging area, and we can build it up north somewhere. We can always bring this emerald belt very much closer over this way. So let's see what's on the path. I can see an emerald, I can see a circle, I can see a square. Do we see a star? Ah, there's a star right up here. All right, we'll just take those shapes then. So there's our wedge. There's our circle. There's our star. And where's our square? Probably around here. There's our 4 shapes over here. And now somewhere along the way we want to grab our 4 colors. We just got to figure out where we want to do this staging. So this is already tile C, so maybe around here. I think this area is probably long enough. I might just draw my belts where I want them to go ultimately. We'll start with the fluid belts in the back. So if my last fluid belt goes sort of here, here, and here, that gives me a pretty good idea of where my shape belts will go, and this is a pretty big enough area to create whatever crazy shape that we need to create. So we'll bring our first shape belt this way. Like that. That's our squares, and then our stars can come from over here somewhere. Bring it all down by a very long belt. I bring it across this way. A little bit of crisscrossies never hurt anybody. I don't like this, and people aren't gonna like this. We did promise that we wouldn't build spaghetti, so I'm gonna try not to build spaghetti whenever I can be bothered. But you know, if you've been watching my channel, spaghetti's gonna happen. Our 2 other shapes are here, so circle is next. Let's bring that in by long belt. You know, I like belts over trains just because I know belts just will never fail. It's nice and robust, easy to build, just drag a long belt. We're not limited by anything right now, so what do we care, right? You can bring the final belt of emeralds, which is going to take its sweet time to travel there, but that's fine. We can work on colors while the shapes do their thing. Whoa, this is actually a really long belt. There you go. There's our 4 shape belts done. Now, we've got to find the colors that go here. So I can see blue here, I can see green here, I can see red. I can just bring all the colors in the other way. That's fine. Nice and easy. Is there a better one? There's red over here. Let's just do the red over this side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. Now that works out nicely. Can go across here. There's our first color ready. Blue. We can grab these 2 blues or these 2 blues. These 2 blues look a little bit closer. Grab these 2. And get the blue going like that. And we'll link up the other 3 belts. Now we've got 6 belts of blue going this way. There we go. Make sure the belt's running the right way. And finally, we have green. Now we've got 2 belts of green here. Is there anything else better or above or on this side? I guess here we could take the green if we wanted to. Yeah, let's just do it from this side. It's fine. So we'll go 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll go 1, 2, and 3. It just fits. Nice. I'm going to do this a little bit backwards. We're going to change our minds and do our reds here. Like that. Then we can cut this part. And we can do our greens coming out this way. There you go. Bring that down to meet that. And then just connect everything up. Clean that all up. Bring this green to meet it somewhere else. Something like that. And there you go. There's our 3 belts of colors, 4 belts of shapes. Plenty of room to work. And we will continue on with our staging shapes. Fantastic. Both our staging is done. So I'm going to put another marker over here before I leave this area called staging 3. You guessed it. There you go. 3 staging areas ready to deliver our task shapes at tremendous speeds. Alright, let's go over our first staging 1 task and see what's changed. I feel like pretty much everything has changed. Onto the bottom layer, we need to add another red star. And then onto the second layer... Wait, I'm very confused. I need to look at this in layer view. No, the bottom layer is still just that. Our second layer has changed completely. Our third layer is completely changed. And our 4th layer is just completely whack. So given that only the bottom layer stays the same, we could just cut all this. It's gonna cut all of this. Alright, let's just start again because sometimes starting again is just a lot easier. So we've got these red stars going on, but I'll do that last. First, I'm going to deal with this 3/4 shape, which is just half a square and a quarter of a circle. And I'm just going to cut this shape out from scratch. So we're going to get a half destroyer, and then we're going to get a quarter destroyer. I'm going to grab half a square, and then we're going to grab a quarter of a circle. We're going to piece this together from quarters. That's fine. So the half square should be on the right. The quarter circle is going to be on the bottom right. Let's just rotate this into position to not confuse ourselves. So the square needs to be on the bottom, which is a clockwise rotation. The circle is going to be on the bottom right. It needs to be on the top right. So it's a counterclockwise rotation. If you do everything in the same process, you'll never confuse yourself. Then if we get our stacker, we should be able to paint the resulting shape yellow. There you go. Now, our next shape is 2/4 bits of red star. So I'm going to go full to 4 quarters and save our stars. Don't ask me what pattern I'm using to decide when I go full to 4 quarters and when I just quarter destroy things. It's just based on feeling, honestly. Whatever I feel like doing at the time. We should paint the star red before we do that because there's 2 red stars. So we'll grab our painter. Then we will grab our red. And there's our red star. That will bring out 2/4 red stars. Now our full to 4 quarters, where does that go? I'm not really sure which corner it goes into, but we'll leave that. We'll just let that do its thing and then we'll piece it together later. Let's work on the third layer. The third layer is just that quarter red star with half a circle. So I'm just going to half destroy here. And the circle is white. So grab our painter, grab our white. Bring that up. That should get me my half a white circle. And it is mixed with a quarter. No, it's mixed with the red thing. And then there's just finally a quarter of an emerald that's yellow. So I'm going to get my quarter destroyer out over here somewhere. bring in an emerald. And then we're going to paint that yellow. But we don't have any more yellow, so we're going to have to make more yellow. So I'm going to bring that over here. Red and green makes yellow, so we'll bring the red, we'll bring the green, and now we've got 2 belts of yellow to work with, and that yellow is going to go along here. There we go. We should have all our components. We need only piece it together now. So here we've got our 3/4 of a shape. That's looking fantastic. And do we have our red quarter thing yet? No, because I haven't connected this properly. There you go. Is this not a painter? That would probably be why. We get an actual painter in there. That will give us the product that we desire. Now, because it's being painted, we get no shape preview. Give me a shape preview so I can start stacking things together. We can definitely stack. No, we can't stack these two together. We have to stack this bit together first. So let's grab a stacker. And then this order doesn't matter. But at some point I need to stack this, but I don't know if I need to rotate it first. So can I have a shape preview yet? Or no? Let's check these components are working. There's our half white circle, and conveniently it's given it to us in the right position. Okay, so my full to 4/4 gets everything in the top right. We need everything on the top left. So I'm going to rotate that counterclockwise. For both sides. Now we can piece everything together because the 3rd layer is just the same thing. So we'll grab a stacker over here, stack that in there, and that should get us our 2nd layer. So now we can piece everything together layer by layer. There's our 1st layer into our 2nd layer, our 2nd layer into our 3rd layer, and then finally our 3rd layer into our 4th layer. And theoretically, that should be the final shape. Nice and clean little factory. I'm sure we're going to have to make plenty of modifications to be done with this. This is in the wrong order. So this one needs to be on the top right, which is a 180-degree rotation. Let's give that a 180-degree rotate, and we'll come back and validate whether that's correct. In the meantime, we're going to continue working on number 17, Sight Beyond Colors. So the right-hand side of the shape is exactly the same. We just need to create the left-hand side of the shape. So let's head over onto staging 2 and create that. That's just 2 circles. Is that literally just 2 circles? Excellent. 2 circles we can handle. If we get our full to 2 halves, cutting 1 to 2, give it a little bit of room because there's going to be some painting involved. Pull that in. Now we can get 2 painters. One of them's going to be blue. One of them's going to be magenta. Let's just do the easy one first. There's your blue. And then our magenta is going to be a color mix. So let's get that color mixing going. We'll get the red. We'll get the blue. And then we'll bring the magenta out. Then we can peel off the magenta and shove it in there. So there's our circles. They should be on exactly the right spot. So the magenta goes on the bottom and the blue goes on top. So we'll get our stacker and we will make sure that happens. And now how these two stack, it doesn't really matter. So we're just going to do that. We'll redirect that into here, cut this part of the belt, and then we'll redirect that into there, and we should be all happy. Now this train line compared to this one is a little bit, is it the same or is it longer? I feel like they're the same. I think our trains are keeping up. I haven't observed our trains, but I believe they're keeping up. All right, back to staging 1. Let's see if we've created the correct shape. I mean, that looks awfully correct to me. I know there's some mismatch in shapes there, but that's fine. But yeah, I think that's the correct shape. In that case, we can go to our brand new staging 3. Everything should have loaded up by now. In fact, the emerald has just arrived. That was our furthest away shape. And we can start working on some stuff on staging 3. We'll work towards this direction and then we'll ship it off on the other rail. So checking our other tasks, let's do this one, Order of the Triad. Okay, it starts off as a circle and then just completely changes shape on me and colors and everything, and then just changes shape and color, and then this is just a completely different shape. I don't even know what the point of this task progression is anymore in Insane, because it's literally just all completely mishmash of different shapes. But that's fine, no point talking about it, let's just get going. This is obviously a full to 4/4 situation, so let's just get that going. Now we're gonna have to find a clever way to paint all these. So we can do, say, I'm gonna give like plenty of room. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can do something like a little bit more symmetric. So we can do something like that, that. And now we need to get all our paints, only white, but then RGB. All right, that's fine. So we'll get our color mixers out. Get our red, blue, green. There's our white. We can put white as like the furthest one, or one of these, I guess. Doesn't really matter. White can be that one, arbitrarily. Green can be this one. Blue can be this one, just because I feel like it. And red can be this one. Very cool. So we've got our 4/4. We just need to piece them together in the right order. So they're all in the top right. I said red is this one, so red's already correct. White needs to go 1 counterclockwise rotation. Therefore, green needs to be a clockwise rotation. And finally, blue will be the 180 rotation. And then we just simply need to stack all these together. So let's grab our stacker, and then we'll just start pumping them in. Like this. And that should be our final shape. Now we can go to any of our staging areas. Say staging 2. Well, we can check this shape is correct. Looks correct to me. And we can steal one of our train stations. Head back to staging 3. And we can start delivering that shape. We want to push it this direction. So I'm going to put my train station facing that way. And loading this way. So we'll do something like this. And bring that in there. And we can check if we're getting the right shape here now. It's going to take a while for it to all do its thing. Staging 1's already delivered half its shape load, which is fantastic. Just waiting for staging 2. Now we can potentially even put together a staging 4 if we really wanted to, just to get things going a little bit quicker. We can double up all of our staging areas, is the other thing that we can do. But we need to find somewhere else with color, because let me just see if there's any more wedges around here. I mean, we can take this wedge, circle like a square from here. It's all going to get very crisscrossy if I start doing this. Or I can just go somewhere really far away, but then it's going to be really far away. I can take this wedge and do a staging 4 just like really far away. This is at 5B. It's going to take so long for it to get to base, but that's fine, I guess. We just create more and more staging areas and it should be okay. I see wedge, circle, a star, and a square. So I got my 4 shapes right here. We can do colors like red, green, blue from here. Yeah, why not? You know, let's do a 4th staging area. We'll just slowly put it together as these shapes complete. There's our first shape. There's our second shape. There's our third shape. Where did I say the square was? It's probably like a really close square that I'm not seeing, but I'm going to take this one. Alright, so there's our shapes. And where is our train station? Over here somewhere. So we kind of want to bring it up around here, and this is a pretty clear area to work. So I might just draw one of my color belts, or I kind of like here, so we'll do it here. Plenty of room to work around here somewhere, so I think this will do. Now we'll continue on these shapes while we build staging 4 very slowly. I'm just going to create a marker. I don't think we're going to end up with more than 4 staging areas given the work that we have to do. I think we're probably going to end up with 3 staging areas and not have enough time to build our 4th staging area. This shape has just changed completely. So now we've got 2 belts of white, and then what the heck happened to this shape? I don't want to do that. I want to see layered view. So it's a half that, square and circle. And then lastly, it's like a completely weird and different shape again. It's kind of like we might as well build this separately and somehow we use this shape to make this shape. But this is a completely different shape too, so like I would just probably start again, honestly. Yeah, let's just start again and then we'll start again. I don't know what these crazy shapes are. If you're gonna give me a completely whack and different shape, I'm just gonna start again every time. I will leave my colors because I can see in the last iteration of the shape we're going to need a lot of these colors. What we'll do is we'll get rid of a lot of this stuff. And then we'll start again. Starting again as always. So the bottom is now just... So we need 2 stars. So let's just get the 2 stars going first. The cutting 1 to 2. And this is why we're not going to need more than 4 staging areas, because every single time I modify one of these shapes, I'm going to just be starting again, basically. We'll get 2 painters. The bottom layer is going to be a blue. I'm going to get rid of this yellow. There's our blue. And then next is going to be a white start. So I'm going to get rid of this yellow as well. It's going to remember there's a yellow here. I think I want my white around here. You know what? I'm going to get rid of this yellow. We'll rebuild our yellow later. So we'll bring our white over here. So that's our white star. That needs to be pieced with a blue square. We're going to half destroy a square. Now we're going to make that blue. Now my star is going to be on the left. We want the star to be on the top. Oh, I can just merge them and then we can rotate it because the square is going to be on the right. So let's just merge these to create the layer of the shape that we want. And we want the square on the bottom so then we can rotate this entire thing clockwise. Next, we want a white circle. So we will get a half destroyer. Get a painter. Get our circle. Get our white. Right here. And now we can stack all our layers together. The circle is going to be on the right, but it needs to be on the top. Counterclockwise rotation. Grab our stackers. Bring our shapes. Grab another stacker. Bring our shape. Off to the train station you go. That should get our new shape. Fantastic. This is done now. I don't even know if I'm going to get time to work on staging 4 at this rate. But we'll go back to staging 2 and we will work on the next iteration of this shape. So what has changed? So I was producing this, the bottom layer hasn't changed. Just this bottom layer is now red instead of uncolored. That's fine, that's an easy change. Let's do that first. So instead of being uncolored, we just need to paint you red. Down you go, and up you go. So that should get the bottom layers. This hasn't changed. Now we just need to make this shape, which we can just use our checker border for. So if we shove in a checker border, and it's a checkerboard of a square and a wedge, circle and a wedge, sorry. There's your circle, there's your wedge. We will need to bin one side of it. Then we'll have to paint the other one yellow. So we will need yellow, which is just red and green. Bring the yellow around, I think here, down and up, and that should get us our top layer. How that top layer is oriented needs to be correct. Is that correct? I think that is actually the correct orientation. In that case, we should just be able to stack this, bring that over, cut that, bring that into the train station, and that should get us the correct shape. We will wait and validate that. Let's go back to staging 1 and make sure we're doing the correct shape there before we work on our staging 3 shape. That looks very correct to me, except the star is in the wrong orientation, of course. So this star needs to be on the bottom, which is a counterclockwise rotation. When is this being rotated? This is never being rotated. This is being rotated after it's pieced together. Fantastic. So that was wrong, but that's fine. We've got plenty of work to do over here. We need to make another 4-color circle at staging 3. Now, I know we can probably reuse the white, but I can't be bothered. So I'm just going to do it again. It's basically this whole thing again. We'll give it a little bit of room, but this time we've got to make all the colors. So let's make all the colors up here. Okay, so the green part is yellow. So this pipe needs to be yellow. So we'll make yellow first. Red and green. And this is why we have an upper floor now, because we can do that and then we can go up and down to make yellow. And then our yellow can come around and it needs to go here. So we'll go down and then we'll connect that. And that should be yellow. Next, the white is still the white. It's exactly the same area. So I'm going to bring the white across somehow. Around here. And we'll just connect that in. So the white is still the white. The blue is cyan. So let's mix a cyan. Cyan is just blue and green. Did that in the wrong spot, but that's fine. You know what? Let's just move it out across over here. That way I can bring the belt directly along this line. Blue, green, make cyan, and we want it on this line, so we'll go down, down, and connect that part. And finally, our red, which is this belt, is magenta. So we just got to mix a magenta. There's red, there's blue. I'm sure I have enough color. I'm not even going to be bothered counting. So we'll go down, and then we'll go maybe a little bit around there. And that should be the top layer shape. So we should be able to stack both shapes together now. So if we grab a stacker somewhere around here, we should be able to... Oop. If we work on the right level, we should be able to join that in there. Bring that in there. Cut the rest of this crap. And pump that new shape out. And in theory, that should all be correct. Have we put a shape in? No, we need a circle in. You muppet. Get that circle in. Alright, fantastic. Back to staging 2 to make sure that is going okay. That shape is looking very correct to me. Fantastic. Back to staging 4 to see if we can't piece this together while we're waiting for shapes to drop off. I've completely forgotten what I'm trying to do over here. I think I was trying to get the squares in next. So we need to go down 2 tiles. There's our squares. And now we can bring in these 2 shapes this way. So we'll bring in our stars next. Where should we end this staging area? Doesn't really matter, does it? Something like that. Make sure there's no weird kinks in my thing. And there we go. Somehow we managed to put together our 4 shapes while we were waiting. Now we just need to put together our 4 colors. Now red is right here. We can grab another red over here. Wait, did I already pick the colors, or I haven't done any colors around here? No, I haven't. All right, we'll just take this red and this red, I guess. Or should we just take these 2 reds? I'll just take the reds out there in case I need to use that space. So 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now it needs to go probably something like this as the first color. So we'll join everything up, join that up, join that up, and on this side everything can just join up like that. Fantastic, that's 1 color down. Now I need my blue. I think blue is probably most sensible from here. Can we even fit 3 on this tiny little asteroid? Yes, we can always fit 3 on an asteroid, I think. I should have set my color asteroids to be a little bit bigger because the default color asteroids are annoyingly small. So there's our blue. Join that up there. Get rid of this kink. Get that in there, and then we'll bring this over somewhere like that. And now we just need our green, and I think we'll just take green from up here. So we'll grab our green. 1, 2, 3. Grab 3 from here. 1, 1, 2. Oh, really? You want to be annoying? Bring this green with this green, and then we'll bring the green sort of around to here somewhere. Bring it down and across. Fantastic. There's our staging 4 completed. Oh, look, our milestone 8 is complete now. Fantastic. I think this is a good place to call the episode because we have unlocked our final qualification. Hooray. We'll let the final qualification run. We've got plenty of research points. So yeah, this gets us our shape multiplier upgrade, which is fantastic. It will probably get our tasks done a lot faster, but it needs 350 research points just for 1. And this is probably where I'd be like really regretting tearing down my milestone factories. Might have to like rebuild all our milestone factories again. I didn't anticipate this final infinite upgrade thing that's gonna take so like, yeah, basically it takes up so much money. I guess that makes sense because like what else are you gonna use all these points for? So if I shape multiplier 2, what does that even mean immediately? Like, does that just mean I get double that? I have no idea. But we can unlock this and we can start working on that final one next episode. And we can unlock this and work on that as well next episode. But for this episode, we'll leave it here. If you've enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like and sub, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.